We're going to do an exercise which actually is easier with a partner, but we can still do it. And in a funny way, um, it will work, but it's slightly better with a partner, but no big deal. Okay, hands are on your legs. You do what you like with your hands. So we're just going to do the sitting bone thing that we did last week. So you're sitting on your chair. The chair is a given, okay? It might be a soft padded one. Even if it is, that's fine, but it's not going to change. You know, the chair is a fixture. But your sitting bones and the flesh under, between the chair and the sitting bones, muscle, gristle, whatever you want to call it, is not a given. That you have the ability to change. So when you're sitting on your stool here, chair, whatever, feel your sitting bones on the chair and change how your sitting bones feel on the chair. Now the only way, well, two ways you can do it. You can either make them more tense, the sitting bone area, or you can relax it. And obviously here I want the relaxation. So you completely soften your bum, totally soften the bum. So the connection between you and the chair alters because you have altered your body. Chairs are given. It's not going to change. So as we keep going, as we've talked about before, this is an undoing of various bits of musculature, you know, tendons. Yeah, you've got tendons around that area attaching to sitting bones. You just let go of it all. So there's a feeling almost of spreading. This is incidentally a really useful exercise generally for your pelvis and for the sacroiliac joints. So the sacroiliac joints are the joints between the sacrum on your back here. Here's your sacrum. It's the bone in the middle of your spine down the bottom. And then the pelvis is left and right. And you've got these two joints which really don't move a lot, but you need them to. Oh, you need them to more than most people. Let's put it that way. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me just get my spine here. Um, so we've had it before, but this is you're looking at this person's back. Okay, so there's the sacrum, this bone in the middle, this chunky sort of like an arrowhead pointing down. There's the tip of the coccyx. Okay, so it's five bones in the coccyx. Sacrum's based on four vertebrae here, based there. Um, so yeah, I mean the spine, your spine works. You've got five of those. You've got four of those. You've got five of these here. This is your lumbars. Then you've got 12 of these going to here, and then you've got seven for the neck. And your neck doesn't finish where you think it does. Well, it does functionally. It finishes where that one that sticks out when you tip your head forward. So roughly split one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. That's the seventh cervical. That's the one that sticks out a little bit more than the others. But the bit I'm interested in here is this joint here between here and here, between the sacrum and the pelvis. This joint is where people are very fixed. Often you get lower back problems because this is out of position. So the sacrum, the relationship between the sacrum and the pelvis has gone out of position. And I can't do this with Oscar here, but basically, yeah, he does sort of move a little bit here. Well, he should move. He should move a little bit. But what happens is the sacrum often becomes twisted like that or like this. And often these two bones at the top are no longer level because this happens. At the front here, this this joint here, this is the symphysis. This is the symphysis pubis here. So this here is the pubic bone coming across the top. This partly fuses in adults, but not completely. So there's still flexibility. You can see they've put a bit of plastic in here. Look, it's a bit of sort of plastic to show that it's in babies. It's fluid at first. These two halves are separate more than they are in adults. So they kind of fuse together a little bit more, but not completely, because you need movement. So um, so what we need is when we start doing these sort of sitting down exercises, and we're working on the pelvic bones here. I know I've moved way away from that, but I haven't really. When you come to sit down and you relax those two sitting bones, what you're also really doing is relaxing those two sacroiliac joints. Um, I don't know how many of you get back problems, but I mean, it is always worth, if you get a back problem, it's always worth getting yourself realigned by an osteopath. Spend the money because it's worth it. Because they will do the job far quicker than you. And not only that, you might just sit down a lot and rest and all that sort of stuff. And it may just go back into its old original bad habit pattern. And going to the osteopath, they will actually start to realign how it should be, how you were born, how your template was. So, as I've said to you on many occasions, I'm sure, I go to the osteopath every 3 weeks, not because I necessarily need to, although sometimes I do, because I do a lot of this sort of stuff. But my aim, my aim in life, or one of my aims in life, is to actually get my body back to my original template when I was born. I mean, okay, I know I'm being unrealistic here, but I can certainly get a lot of the way there. And these two bones, I tell you, with most people, they go out an awful lot. These two sacroiliac joints, the balance gets upset very easily. All you have to do is walk along a pavement, and then there's a dip in the pavement, and your foot goes over like this, and this happens. And that can trigger a reaction via here to here and puts your hip out of joint. And then you spend a few days hobbling around and it gets a little better and you do nothing about it. But then it happens again. And then the problem has occurred more. So because it happened twice and it didn't completely repair the first time, you exacerbate the problem and it's got further to get back now. And then you do it again and you never go to the osteopath and it gets further and further and further away. So you start, walking with a limp or whatever, and your back is constantly painful. All these things, get it fixed. Honestly, I promise you, it pays dividends. Get it fixed. So, sorry, I'm giving a lecture on going to the osteopath. I've got no vested interest in this whatsoever, I promise you. But as far as health goes, well, so worth it. So you're sitting on your bones, and there's a feeling of the bones just undoing. Now then, it's really a feeling of the flesh on the outside of the bones, between you and the chair. It just undoes. Yep, completely just release it and let it go. Okay, right, now, moving on to where I began with all this, which almost forgotten. Put an arm in front of you. Yeah, you can leave it here even. You don't have to lift it, but I'm going to make it obvious. And all I do is I put 2-3 fingers on here and I touch. I'll just show you where I'm touching. It's not important exactly, by the way, but I'm touching on the muscle here on top of my arms. Okay, so I'm just pressing very, very gently in. Okay, so you know where we are. So I'm pressing very, very gently in. First of all, I want you to rest on the surface of the skin. Just rest. Okay, so at the moment, you're just feeling the skin itself. Okay, we've done a little bit of this before. Would you press very, very hard into your skin there so you go right down to the bone? I know you can't, but go as far as you can. Really, really press. Okay, this is far too hard, obviously. We're now almost gone insensitive, and just release in a second. So your fingers have gone tense. The ends of your fingers, the feeling bit is it's probably gone white in the fingers even, from pressing so hard. So what I want you to do is I want you to rest your fingers on the skin of your arm there. You can just leave this one on the leg if you like. Rest it on. We're not just on the surface of the skin. I want you just to very gently press a tiny little bit. And now what I want you to do is I want you to relax the tips of your fingers. Forget the arm. Don't worry about the arm. It's a given, okay? We're not going to move that. It's somebody else's arm, yeah? Okay, so you're going to feel into that arm through the tips of your fingers. Now, the way you do that is you totally soften the tips of your fingers. Now, I can't remember how many millions of nerve endings you have in all the fingers, but it's a hell of a lot. It's one of the more sensitive parts of your body. And what you're going to do is you're going to just try and use and develop that ability to feel not only on the surface of your arm, but into the arm, beyond the surface, without doing anything to the arm itself. We're leaving that as a given. Soften your fingers, utterly feel like the fingers are relaxing, that the nerve endings are sensitizing, almost like each end of each finger is spreading, and try and feel below the finger where it's touching the skin. So we're no longer just touching the surface, we're no longer feeling the surface only, that obviously we are. We're feeling below the surface into the arm. Now, without pressing any harder, see if you can feel down towards your bone. Now, I know this sounds quite wacky, but what I'm basically trying to show you how to do is to sense with your fingertips when you do push hands and Qigong and you're touching somebody else, but also we're learning a basic healing technique. You're learning how to feel beyond the obvious, what's given, and the given here is the arm itself. You're actually trying to feel further into it. It's a bit like using your hands like an X-ray machine. So in effect, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go beyond. You can try the other arm if you like. The other three fingers will feel different at first. When you touch, it's all superficial. And I go beyond the superficiality. So I'm now starting to feel the pads of the other hand on that finger on the arm, feeling the pads of the fingers. Now, because I'm sensing below my skin, my hand is actually shaking. I don't know if yours does or not here, but I'm actually, okay, yeah, okay, actually stop shaking now. Don't know why. So I'm now feeling well below the skin level. I'm trying to feel actually into the fascia. But if you think of it as bone, it's fine. You think down to the bone. There's no extra pressure here. We're only keeping on 5% pressure, 10%, 5, no more. And that is your base. You can relax, it's fine. Because that's your basis to actually healing.